Letter Speaker, Mr. Dan McKnight, with Idahoans to bring our troops home.
McBride or McKnight, sir?
It's McKnight.
It's McBride, right?
McKnight.
McKnight?
Yeah. Last time I checked, anyway. It might have changed. While I'm getting started, I'm just going to pass some things around. Just some information that I think was helpful. My name is Dan McKnight. I'm with Idahoans to bring our troops home. And I'm a 13-year veteran of the military. I got hurt in Afghanistan in 2006. I was there very early in the war. I was forced to retire. And now I'm a full-time stepdad and dad and grandpa. And I coach high school football down in Ada County at Rocky Mountain High School. And in January, I woke up and saw that our good Senator Jim Risch had been named chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. And I'm kind of a history buff. I like to follow politics. I'm proud of my state and my country. I'm very patriotic. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the third time in Idaho's history that one of our senators is serving as the second most powerful man in the country when it comes to foreign relations. And is there anybody here that can tell me any of the other two senators that served as that same chairman?
Bora?
Who was that?
Bora? William Bora?
William Bora, at the end of World War I. What size t-shirt do you wear?
Medium?
Medium?
Yes, sir.
All right, can anybody name the other one?
Sure. You say Frank Church?
Right here, what was that? Frank Church. Frank Church. What size shirt?
Probably extra large.
Extra large, you got it. So, Frank Church, Democrat, right? I'm not angry at him. He stepped up against the president and the leader of his own Democratic Party and opposed the war in Vietnam when he was serving as the chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. His legislation and his actions helped bring an end to a very unpopular and long war. Senator Bora, probably Idaho's best and most popular senator, probably on the Mount Rushmore of Idaho, at the end of World War I served as the chairman, and he opposed the Treaty of Versailles and the League of Nations. He opposed the United States getting into these entangled alliances where they'd be forced to defend their allies' interests overseas and be entangled in endless wars forever and ever and ever. He gave a very powerful speech on the floor of the Senate that ultimately defeated the League of Nations Treaty, the League of Nations and the Treaty of Versailles. So when Senator Risch gets promoted to this position, I was shocked. He wasn't the senior man on the committee. He wasn't in line for the chairmanship, but it happened. And I thought, wow, we have a chance to put a third face on Mount Rushmore, Idaho's Mount Rushmore. And so I wrote an opinion, a guest opinion. I've never done this before. It's going around the room. It's on the back there. I wrote a guest opinion and submitted it to every newspaper in the state. And it was ran by 10 newspapers the first weekend. Basically telling my story of Jim Risch. When I was in Afghanistan, we were there as the National Guard. And anybody that served in the Guard, hands, anybody? One, couple? The National Guard prior to the War on Terror was looked down upon as a substandard military force. We were a militia. We were there for states' needs, emergency response, fighting fires, floods. And so we were treated kind of poorly at the beginning of the war, even though we were carrying about 60% of the combat load. We couldn't get flak vests, helmets, boots, uniforms. And I was frustrated. I was a young sergeant. I had 12 men that worked for me. And we were out in the middle of nowhere supplying Chinooks, Apaches, and Blackhawks so they could go out and engage the enemy. And there were 12 of us, and about as big as this room was our base. We had concertina wire, no security, no armor. So I got a cell phone, satellite phone. I climbed to the top of a mountain peak where I could get good reception, and I called a friend of mine back home that knew then Governor Jim Risch. Jim Risch was the interim governor when Kempthorne went back to Washington, D.C. He'd been in office about 3 weeks, and he gets a phone call from Sergeant McKnight in the middle of Afghanistan, Korengal Valley. Governor, this is Sergeant McKnight. Silence. Crickets. I said, I'm part of the Idaho National Guard. I'm stationed in Afghanistan. I need your help. And I went on to tell him what was going on. And Governor Risch said, Dan, I don't know what I can do, but I'm going to do something. And 48 hours later, I get a radio call from my company commander, my battalion commander, asking what the hell I did. Who do you think you are? But your supplies are on their way. So I'll take the butt chewing. I'm okay with that. Governor Risch stood in I hold him on a pedestal now. He's a man that I honor as a man of integrity and honor and respect, a patriot, an Idahoan, and a big member of the conservative GOP and of the state of Idaho. So I wrote this guest opinion. I went to a Chamber of Commerce event in February where he was speaking, and I questioned him. I stood up in front of the whole audience. Senator Risch, under what circumstances will you support withdrawing our troops from Afghanistan and finding a political end to this political war? And he said, Dan, I read your guest opinion. I remember you from 2005. I'm with you. I'm done nation building. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations made a policy statement in Boise, Idaho that flew in the face of President Obama and President Bush, 43, saying that we're done nation building. And so I went like this, I'm done. I did my part. Senator Risch is taking the football and he's running with it. And then 3 times in the next 90 days, Senator Risch voted to prolong the war in Yemen, in Syria, and to commit our troops indefinitely in the Middle East. So, the pressures in Washington are high. I get that. I understand there's 2 sides to this. There's the Pollyanna side that says, war is bad, everybody come home, put on our tie-dye, Haight-Ashbury district in San Francisco, drum circles, there's that side, and then there's the side that has to be very pragmatic and defend our country. But somewhere in between, we have to be a principled people. And that's why I'm here before Region 1 today, is to talk about our principles. Less than 20% of Congress that's serving today has voted in any way for or against the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. Less than 20%. The people that voted for the authorization of use of military force are long gone. Our current leadership, the people that are identified in the Constitution under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15, that says Congress is the only power that is authorized to declare war, has been violated. We don't follow that anymore. That's a constitutional principle. And I'm afraid right now with the 75 other Democrats that are ready for president, 76, I'm sorry, they are going to usurp this position of being constitutionally based when we go to war and take it away from the party of the Constitution, the GOP. And so I'm here today to talk about a resolution. It's on that piece of paper. This went before the summer meeting. I met many of you there at the summer meeting. Oh, thank you. I met many of you there, and the resolution was defeated that we proposed. Does everybody have a copy? Here. And it was heated, Jennifer, it was heated debate.
Oh, yeah, I had
Yeah.
to count. Anyone can count.
Dan, you've got about 4 minutes.
I'm almost done. Yeah, thank you. It was defeated, but the resolution here, which was adopted by Region 4 in Ada County, and many of you probably got mailers from me. If you got one of those mailers in a big envelope, was there anybody here that got one? A couple of you did. So the resolution shouldn't be foreign to anybody, but it needs work. Okay, I've talked to Chairman Brent about it, and he said there's some issues in there that he would like to see corrected and fixed. And so I'm going around to all the executive committees around the state to get input from GOP members. How can we fix the resolution? What can we do to make it better, stronger, and have the bite that we need it to have? So, I'm not going to take questions tonight because I know we don't have time, but I've got business cards, I've got an email address where you can reach me, a phone number. I'll be sticking around afterwards. I've got extra t-shirts. I love to talk about this. This is my passion right now. This and high school football. That's about it. So I've got a lot of time to do this, but we need to fix the resolution. We need to get it back before the winter meeting. And then Representative Tammy Nichols out of Canyon County is sponsoring it along with Lieutenant Governor McGeehan to push forward in the next legislative session to get it on the floor and adopted by the party and adopted at the state level. So I hope if anybody has any questions, find me afterwards and I'll give my time.
One quick question for Ruth.
Yes.
I would like to make a comment about Frank Church. You were praising him, and I worked for Senator Jim McClure for 24
Yes.
years, and the FBI told me that he was the one that put the line between the FBI and the CIA, and I found out that I wanted to pass something along to the CIA, and I went in and talked to the FBI about it, and they said they couldn't talk to the CIA. Well, when we had 9/11, when we had New York bombed, 3,000 people killed, the CIA knew about it in Europe, but they couldn't talk to the FBI here to pass along the information. And I think that he was helped to be responsible for that activity because of the stupid thing that he did, saying that the CIA couldn't talk to the FBI.
So I don't disagree with that at all.
Well, but you're praising Frank Church like and I think that that what he did there was horrible.
My praise for Free Church is not as a politician, but as a principled man to oppose a very unpopular war. That's it. And to create an incredible wilderness area that I backpack through. But other than that, I agree. Free Church has many scabs and words, and I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to talk about his position as the chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. I'd be happy to talk to you afterwards, though, because I think we're kind of in line. I probably agree with each
I
other.
don't think so.
Yeah. All right, thank you.